the old saying goes, see something, say something. And, the truckers are out there and they see stuff, and we want them to make sure that they're saying something.
I wonder if we can start kind of broadly. Tell us about this effort in South Dakota uh, that involves truckers to combat human trafficking. Broadly speaking, what's involved in this effort?
Well, as the president of South Dakota Trucking Association and, a woman myself, we know that this issue is across the nation more and more. It can be anything from women to labor to other things such as that. And so we have wanted to push this forward more and partner with our law enforcement in making sure that, the old saying goes, see something, say something. And, the truckers are out there and they see stuff, and we want them to make sure that they're saying something.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the training involved for the truck drivers. Can you give us some examples of the types of things that are involved in the training? What are the truckers seeing and what are they learning there?
Yeah, so we partner with Truckers Against Trafficking, which is another nonprofit. And if you have somebody within your organization that is trained and can do that, we can do those locally. Right now, we are looking at bringing in some speakers from Truckers Against Trafficking. Generally, at every single one of our conventions, we have some sort of education component with this. So whether it's a video, a speaker, just literature and information to making sure that this is always at the forefront of our members and our drivers and the companies, because it's those owners that are also continuing to educate their drivers as they move about the country. So right now we are in full swing planning our convention for this fall in Deadwood, South Dakota, and we'll have a component there, a speaker to talk to a large group, as well as then we're in the process of launching some small efforts and really meeting our members where they are. So whether it's going to Aberdeen, South Dakota, Watertown, Brookings, we want to get some of that collaboration out and about. The other thing that is really, really important is collaboration with our law enforcement. At the end of the day, we can see something, say something, but if we don't have that collaboration and that same drive with our local law enforcement, makes it a little bit more difficult. So thankfully, we have been working with our Attorney General, Marty Jackley, who this is something very important to him. And we are continuing to look at how can we train law enforcement as well, and really have that be a collaboration between law enforcement and the truckers.
Talking about that connection with law enforcement, do you see this as just a thing where the truckers are reporting to law enforcement, or do you see some greater level of involvement between the two groups?
I'm not sure at this moment. My hope would be it would be more involvement. What that looks like yet, I'm not sure. We have some huge events in South Dakota from, Sturgis Rally. We've got rodeos, we've got hunting, we've got a lot of activity really all year in our state. And so those large events, we know human trafficking has an uptick. And so bringing more education to our community and to those folks that maybe are on the fence of making bad decisions, how can we get them help as well as them not acting on some of that by keeping the education forefront as well. And it's also good for the public. Through, I say this often, through COVID, people really, really started to appreciate truck drivers. You couldn't get stuff on the shelves. It was the truck drivers that kept America moving. And so I think there's more of an appreciation to really see the impact that truck drivers have from delivering goods, but also from reporting things from happening and being proactive in that.
You mentioned some of the big events that occur in your state,
Yeah.
and the fact that trafficking kind of ticks up there. And I know
Mhm.
this is not your area of expertise, but I'm wondering if you can give folks an idea of how bad or what level of human trafficking there is in your state. How would you describe it?
I think that sadly, human trafficking exists in every state. I'm not sure where our levels are and where our statistics are compared to other states. I do know that evidence shows and research shows that with the large events such as the Sturgis rally, there tends to be an uptick during that time. Our Attorney General has really combated this and really um, taken the effort to be proactive in that. They do have stings during that time, and you'll see on the news, here's what happened, and it's a kind of a disgusting, sad time, but it's also educational as well. And so that's really, education is just absolutely critical. And then making sure that, we use people as examples when those stings happen. Here's what's going to happen to you if you think you're going to do this, as well as, getting help to those victims. I think that's really important because those, men and women and young children that are trafficked need the help and need the tools. Um, and those services are available right here in South Dakota as well.
I'd like to go back a little bit here,
Sure.
and talk a little bit with you about what prompted you and your association to get involved in this. Was there a particular incident, or were you approached by someone?
No, we were not approached, and no, there was not maybe a specific incident here. I am a former legislator in the state house. It was about 12 years ago, so I'm dating myself a little bit. And I served on the Judiciary Committee in the state house. And during that time, we had some bills that came forward that dealt with this. We had a young woman share her story of how she was human trafficked, how she couldn't get out of the cycle and the money. And, she shared her success story of how she was rehabilitated and went to school for graphic design, has a job, is taking care of her child. And it was so many people that rallied around her to take a terrible incident and make it positive. And that time really, really had a lasting impact on me saying, "Hey, we can do good. We can find those hurting souls, and we can rehabilitate. We can get them the help they need, to making sure that they are a positive impact in our communities, and not just maybe addicted to drugs or going through the law enforcement and the jail system." It's very, very important for us to making sure that we're getting those victims the help. And so that instance, I would say, had a long lasting impact on me to say, we can do more. How can we be proactive in this? And, I've only been in this current role I'm in right now for 2.5 years. And so it's something that has really been front and center for me of how can we do more? And so we're always looking and challenging our staff to say, where can we have more speakers? Where can we have more trainings? And how can we be a positive impact on the industry? A lot of times too, people are driving down the roads and, the truckers are in the way and maybe they're not as respected as such. And I think it's so important to show the public the good that our truckers do. Like I said, they keep America moving.
I'm curious, and I know that you're at the very early parts of this whole process.
Yes.
But we've talked with organizations and with individuals in different parts of the country about actual instances where truckers' intervention made a difference.
Yeah.
Are you aware of any of those at this point in South Dakota? And if so, can you tell me about it?
Yeah, there was most recently, I believe there's one in the Watertown area as well as Aberdeen. Um, It was law enforcement that, had that impact on it. We were not involved as SDTA, but I did see the stories and the media, did cover those, instances. And so, that's just another way to keep getting the word out as far as, "Hey, it's happening here, and how can we make that positive impact?" So we do know, most recently within, I think it was about the last 4 or 5 months that that has been, addressed. And I can send you those links if you would like as well, if you want to check out those couple of stories.
I'm sure people would want to read those and we can post those so they can get to them.
Sure.
Um, uh, I'm curious. I know that there may have been already some training going on. Have you had any reaction back from individual truck drivers or from various carriers in reaction to that training? And what has that reaction been?
Yeah, so I just was talking with my staff. One of our staff really leads this up more, and she had mentioned when they have done some of the trainings, oftentimes the companies are calling and saying, "Hey, can you come do that again? Can you come to our staff meeting?" We want to make sure our guys and gals are hearing this information not just once, but more than once. I think they say 3 times is how you retain it, right? And so a lot of times these folks are asking us to come back in. We also are in the process of launching. We want to launch some videos and some social media content. We've really revamped how we connect with our members and just the general public with our social media. And so we are looking at posting and, connecting as much as we can. Education is absolutely critical.
Do you see this as a one-time project or something of limited time scope, or do you see this as something that'll be ongoing into the future?
I think it absolutely has to be ongoing. It's not just a one and done. You're not just solving it and we get to move on, such as maybe a budgetary issue or something. This is a social issue. And once you have social interaction and social decisions, it's always something. And so we want to be front and center. We want to be on the up and up to make sure that, sometimes criminals and the bad guys and gals, they're creative and they spend a lot of energy on being successful at their crime craft, if you will. And so we want to make sure that we are being mindful of that and continuing to keep an eye on how the crime industry is changing, so to speak. I mean, as terrible as that sounds. And keep that on the forefront. I really think that this should be a part of every trucking association. And I know a lot of my colleagues around the nation, it is. They have close relationships with Truckers Against Trafficking. They launch their own programs. They do some trainings. And same with law enforcement. I know, like I said, our law enforcement here in South Dakota has been extremely supportive of making sure they're combating this. And just want to make sure I give our Attorney General, Marty Jackley, a shout out for all of the efforts that he's led during his time in office.
Okay. That's all I have, Christine. Is there anything else that you want to add or you think people need to know that maybe I haven't brought up?
I would just stress the incredible work that Truckers Against Trafficking does. They really are a resource for us as far as literature, education. We really appreciate the help that they've helped provide us, as well as to all the local law enforcement for being so open to collaborate. And then, of course, thank you to all the truckers that are moving goods across the nation, as well as going above and beyond, making sure that our roadways are safe and also reporting things that they see.